Alright, so this next video I'm going to talk about CSS3. So just like I mentioned earlier about HTML 5, CS3 is the latest version of CSS. Most of the modules that we've already done have pretty much been CSS2 and earlier. Now, I think again we probably threw some CSS3 in there, but these are just added ones. I'm just going to quickly go over these. I'm not going to go through and do an example of each one because honestly, I just want you to know that they're there so that if you want to add those elements to your work, you know that they exist, but I'm not going to expect you to memorize them or anything. Okay. So here we go. So CSS3 properties. So some things that you can do. One is border radius. So if you look down here, for every piece of code you see here, the thing you see here, this is the actual code that's driving this. This is all actually HTML and stuff, okay? So just be aware that, and it was this, well, actually I don't do it up there, but you probably have noticed that anyway. So border radius, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so border radius, basically it's a shorthand code that allows you to specify the curves of the box that's around the object. So whether you're using a border, like a solid border or grooved or whatever, or whether you're just using a background image, you can change, instead of doing what's normally a straight like here, you can actually have the corners rounded, which might be a nice little touch, and you can choose each one. So if we look over here, this border radius, you'll see I have 0, 10, 25, 50. So what I'll do is at 0 is the top left, and then 10, 25, 50. Okay, now if I just do border radius, and let's say I just typed in 25, it will do 25 on all four corners. Now if I do border radius and I'll do 0 and 25, it would do 0, 25, 0, 25. Okay, and then I think if you do 3, it does like the first one and then the other two, or I'm not sure, but that's basically the lump sum of it. So you can change whether you want it to be round. So you can think about if you want to do a button, or you want to do have a picture that's round or something like that. You can change this border radius and that will make it round. Okay. So if you do enough, obviously you can actually make a circle instead of just a rounded square. Border image, basically it's shorthand code that lets you set up a custom border. So you can use an image. So here is a border, this one. You can use an image instead of just having the options what was it, solid, dashed, grooved, dots, the different options for borders. You can actually use a picture. So what you would do, if you look at the example here, you would do border. You still have to set up what you want it to be in case the image is not there. So if this image doesn't show up, it'll show a solid. And then just make it transparent. And then you have to do a border image. And so here you can see you have to link it to your images folder and then the border image. And then you'll see there's two things here. There's 30 and stretch. So the idea here is that if you let me go to Photoshop, is that you'd have to make a picture, something like this. Hang on one second. I'm going to pause it while this loads up. All right. So I don't know if well, I'll just show you. So I would create new, and I would do something like this. So I'll do 90 by 90. Okay. And hit create. It's going to make a pretty small picture. Control plus. And I'd make a new layer and throw this one away so it's transparent. Then what you would want to do is go to, let's see, view, new guide layout. And I'd want to do columns and rows. And we would do 3 and 3. No gutter. So just get rid of that. Get out of here. Delete. And delete. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Good. I hit OK. So I do 3 and 3. And now what that means, if this is 90 pixels across and 90 pixels down, that means each one of these squares is 30. Okay. Each one of these. And so what would happen is I could do something like, let's say, a circle for these corners. Okay. Something like that. And then I could do, let's say, a stupid square or something like this. Okay. Or rectilinear shape here. Okay. Like that. Now what it'll do is at the top left corner of this, I would save the picture and what have you. The top left corner of this would be this yellow. The top right corner would be this yellow, the bottom right and the bottom left. And then these can either be stretched or repeated. So if we look at here, this one here, you can see I did imagine this corner right here would have been a diamond in each one of these. And then this was also a diamond, but it was an orange diamond that was in here. But what happens is I did 30 because this was also a 90 by 90 by 90. So you just have to make sure it's divisible by 3 because it's gonna slice it kind of like a sprite sheet. So 30 by 30 by 30. So that's where the 30 comes from, is how to cut it. And then I said stretch. And what that means is it's going to stretch the in-between ones. But you can also choose, I think it's repeat. I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to look it up. But you can also choose the opposite. And what will happen is, instead of stretching this, which would just make a solid line so you wouldn't notice it too much on here. But these diamonds, it would do diamond, 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 diamond. It would just do a whole bunch of them. It would repeat the element for however long it goes instead of stretching the element. So that's the basic idea there. All right, let me get this one back up and this one back up. Okay, so you get the idea. All right, so that's border image. And think about it, you could do something really custom and really cool and make it look like calligraphy or like, you know, you could do some really neat stuff if you really wanted to apply that. Text shadow basically allows you to add shadow to text. Basically, it's the like the distance. I don't remember which one's which. I put it in here. Where are you? Text shadow. Yeah, you'd have to look it up. But this is the color of the shadow, obviously. One is the distance. I think it's how far down and then how far to the right, and then the spread of it, I think, is what it ends up being. So 2 pixels down, 2 pixels to the right, and then spread 5 and make the shadow. In this case, I just made it blue. Normally you do black, obviously, but I just wanted to show you that it could be a color. Box shadow, same exact thing, but for the box of the element. Transition. So transition is a little bit weird. Basically, you have to do a couple of things. So on this element here, this box is a transform that just has orange applied to it, right, for the background color. I don't really show that because I guess you see it here. So basically what it'll allow me to do is using these 2 things here, I can basically, or these 3 things, when I hover over it, it's actually going to animate. Okay. Yay. Isn't that neat? Yeah, wait a minute. Did I not put transform in here? That's why that's not in there. I was wondering what that was. Transform will take an object and it'll move it over and rotate it. Transition, that's why it was. So what it does is that I have the regular here, which I make it orange, and then I say transition. The background color is going to change. It's going to take 3 seconds, and it's going to be a linear motion. 1.5 seconds. Oh, it's going to transform over 1.5 seconds. So the background color is going to transition in 3.5 seconds. Linear, you have to look it up, but basically it allows you to do this. So that's the transition. And then animation, you can basically animate something. So again, this is the element here. And then you have to set up basically keyframes. And then this is what it does. So you might be able to find a little pizzazz, but these obviously take a bit of time to set up. Most of the time when people are utilizing these, they're using probably JavaScript or something of that sort, and having that write the code to make it happen. But you can use actually CSS to animate or make these interesting things. So if you want to have like your nav that when you go over it, it does this instead, that would be a possibility. All right. And yeah, so that's just some basic CSS3. It's just neat little extra things, but I mean, these are like kind of, they're not really necessary per se.